I was talking to Richard Reeves, another great activist that I've known for years, who's just gone on with my encouragement and others to just do amazing things. He's been to Bilderberg with us to cover it. Had a lot of courage there. And he's seen the power and the awakening. And Obama's approval ratings dropping, the pro-establishment Republican losing the primary in Alabama to a patriot. That was just yesterday. Every incumbent falling by the wayside except for Rick Perry, and he posed as one of us. This is happening. So I want to get him here because he's an expert on the realignment that's happening. He saw it a year and a half ago, as I did. And also on the toll roads, because they're going ahead with the NAFTA superhighways. They've changed the name. These are international zones to raise taxes for these international groups. So are the carbon taxes. So we're going to discuss that after the break. But Richard also brought to my attention a chilling Obama quote. He said, I'm sure you know about it. It came out a week ago or so. And I said, no, I'm not aware of it. See, that's why you, the listeners, and the other activists are so important. None of us can know all of this or even half of it. But Richard, you've heard me on the show to say, and I know I'm right, 100% chance they're going to fully implode things to a road warrior level, many times worse than the Great Depression. They think because we're dependent, and they've gotten us dependent, that we'll have to submit to them. They're announcing police aren't going to respond to robberies, people being poisoned, people being attacked. That's happening all over the country. They're training us that your taxes are going up, but we're going to let lawlessness take over. The border's lawless. Obama says he wants it lawless to Senator Kyle, so people will capitulate. I mean, but the good news is they're in trouble. People say, well, what's the solution? It's screaming bloody murder. It's saying, we know you're doing this deliberately. You're criminals. And we know the Republican leadership is involved in it as well. And just identifying them as the treacherous, larcenous traitors they are. Richard Reeves, give us the State of the Union and the State of the Globe from your research, because you're a radio talk show host, author, researcher, activist, one of the key people fighting the Trans-Texas Corridor.
Well, Alex, thank you for having me on. And I tell you, we are in a definite at the edge of a cliff right here. I think you're right, absolutely, because they do see the awakening. I think we had Brzezinski talk about that the global awakening is going on. We had a Henry Kissinger quote come out that if the euro collapses over in the European Union, if that comes apart, the New World Order could be lost right now. But I don't think they're ready to give it up that quick. They are definitely ready to potentially pull the plug on us here. And I think one thing we could discuss through the next 30 or so minutes is how they may play out those scenarios, because I don't think they're going to delay the election. I don't think they're going to play with that. I think they're going to let that happen. And I think what we might see is a lame duck session of Congress where these guys, it's kind of like in a foreclosure situation where some people burn the house down or vandalize it heavily, tear out the walls, the plumbing, the air conditioner, etc. We might see that in this lame duck session.
No, that's what the IMF World Bank plan says they did to third world countries, and they admit they're doing it to Europe and the U.S. and England and Australia.
Right, so that's what I'm real concerned about, is that lame duck session. But nonetheless, we've got to do what we've got to do. Earlier you were talking about how that you were getting all the media coverage and the talk about Alex Jones, InfoWars, and the Patriot Movement, Tea Party, etc. was just blowing up. Well, that's one thing that I've noticed that years ago, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, stories that were discussed here in the alternative media sometimes took the mainstream media 2, 3, 4, 5 years. In some cases, they didn't talk about a story that we talked about in maybe 10.
Now they admit on Fox and CNN, Prozac does cause brain cancer and heart attacks. They admit, okay, it is causing miscarriages and for babies to be underweight and deformed with the aspartame, which we knew back in the 70s. That was in the studies. I mean, exactly. It's just kind of out there now.
Well, when it comes to the political realities of this world, the zeitgeist of it is flying right through this office, because it's like just yesterday on the USA Today, front page, full body scanners being protested against. Right there on the front page, they're talking about a story where full body scanners at the airports, that people are upset.
Yeah, it said meeting massive resistance, and it's and I have another report here. Freeway speed cameras to be turned off. This is out of the Arizona newspaper, Arizona Republic, and it says because almost everyone refused to pay. Over 90% of people refused to pay the tickets.
Right. So that's what it's going to take. It's going to take some civil disobedience at some point. But I think we still have, just by hanging by a thread, we've got the voting. Still hanging by a thread. We had the Rand Paul victory. We've got other victories that have happened in these primaries. Like you said, a lot of incumbents are going by the wayside.
But we're in a fight for our lives. When we come back, let's go through that more, talk about the different scenarios in more detail, because I love your political analysis. I think it's spot on, and I want to get your take on that. Then we'll talk about Another key blood supply for this cancer is the global highways. They're doing this everywhere, and they're going to seize the water supplies. That's already happening, double, tripling prices. I mean, this is a globalist rape gang hell-bent on bankrupting you and your family. We're going to defeat them. Stay with us. We are back live. Richard Reeves in studio. Your calls coming up in the first half hour of the next hour. Then Larry Pratt, the head of Gun Owners of America, with key intel on the enemy operations against the Second Amendment. There's been some good news, but also some very bad news. We're talking about solutions countering this globalist onslaught. That's how they take down old world and first world nations. They have 100-point plus IMF, World Bank, Exim Bank, OECD battle plan. These are public. They are doing it here. We know exactly what they're doing. But if we screw around and call it a conspiracy theory, the media, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Now they're not doing that. They go, okay, it is a world government, and we are going to get rid of most of the police and let criminals rob you. But, you know, and we are going to put carbon taxes on you and raise your taxes, even though it'll destroy society. It's okay. We've got to stand up and say, no, 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 and act like leaders. We need to be confident. You know, the media is trained us to, like, I know this sounds like a conspiracy, but the government might be corrupt. I mean, come on. We're light years past that now. There's not time to screw around. You're living in the middle of a war. You're living in the middle of history right now. I'm not risking my life here, and I wasn't up here till 10 o'clock last night, working 14-hour day, busting my butt to play games. I know how real this is, ladies and gentlemen. The real world's going on around you, and it's not about LeBron James or Lindsay Lohan or Mel Gibson. It's about how you're being enslaved and future generations are going to be enslaved if we don't stop this. And what's the biggest tool we've got in the fight? It's the documentary films. Rise of the Republic, Don't Tread on Me, how to take the states back at the legislature and the county level with the sheriff and more. Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, exposing who these creatures are and what their plan is. Our latest film. Endgame, Blueprint from Global Enslavement, almost 3-hour film detailing their entire agenda. You want a master's degree in it? Here it is. The Secret of Oz, what the bankers are doing and solutions to defeat them from the makers of the money masters. The Obama deception. You want to shatter the left-right paradigm? Leftists and right-wingers will watch this thinking it's a left-right paradigm film, and they'll have their conditioning broken. This film, conservatively, more than 25 to 30 million free downloads online. Buy the DVD in the highest quality, make copies, get it out to everyone. All available at Infowars.com. Over 90% of the calls and on-the-street contacts and letters I get, and people I talk to that talk to others that have woken up, say it's from the films. The films. The films. The films. You may know all about this and know more than I and Richard Reeves combined. But does your neighbor, does your family? They're ready to be awakened now, ladies and gentlemen. It's an info war. We want to keep it that way. The globalists want to make it a physical war. They're waging war on you with crime. They've always let the violent offenders go. Did you know somebody convicted of pot stays in longer than somebody convicted of robbery? You know, just like in Denver, the old 82-year-old veteran's getting robbed, and they're trying to run him over in his yard, so he shoots one of the illegal aliens, and they let them go and charge him with murder. They want you to be a slave, the productive, good people. You've got to reach out with these films, and you also fund us when you do that with a PrisonPlanet.tv membership, where we simulcast the show and all the films in high quality, download them, burn them to disk, or the high-quality DVDs at the online shopping carts at Infowars.com. The T-shirts, all of it's about getting the word out, identifying as patriots, getting together. Infowars.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139, or write to me, P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas, 78760. And I want to say this right now. I couldn't have done any of this in the last 15 years without you, okay? And the globalists are going to try to confuse you on the web and get you to infight, and that's what I love about Richard. He's immune to it. And distract off and make the fight about a fight with each other instead of waking more people up. It's a life and death situation, and I want to commend all of you because we are kicking the globalists hind end. But the problem is the empire is now striking back. Richard, you've got the floor about the Kissinger quote, this Obama clip, the toll roads, everything. We're going to talk about solutions, but also who the enemy is right now. What do you want to cover first?
Well, first of all, I want to back up what you just said. InfoWarrior is essential right now because if we have this economic collapse that you're talking about and that I think very well could be coming as well, we need to have our neighbors knowing who's really the culprit. You know, is it the middle class? Or is it the guy down the street? No, it's not. It's the global elite that's doing this economic hit on the United States. So we need to InfoWarrior ×2, ×10, whatever you're doing now, folks. Amp it up. And the New World Order, they fund their operation out of thin air, paper, and ink. in zeros and ones in a computer that doesn't even exist in reality. That's how they fund their efforts. Folks, Alex needs help to fund these efforts and continue this going on. All right, I'll tell you, one of the quotes I thought you'd be real interested with this oil well situation is Mikhail Gorbachev. The threat of environmental crisis will be the international disaster key that will unlock the New World Order. So that plays right into this oil.
And that was published in newspapers.
That was a 1988 quote, way back from 88, supposedly December, UN General Assembly.
Read that again.
The threat, and I would say the implementation is probably the new word there, but the threat of environmental crisis will be the international disaster key that will unlock the New World Order. Maurice Strong quote, the environmental crisis is the cornerstone of the New World Order. So Al Gore, Maurice Strong, and Mikhail Gorbachev are the three musketeers of the environmental movement. So the New World Order is using that leg right now, but there's other legs obviously going on besides the environmental crisis. But I thought with this oil well spilling out in the Gulf, that
notice it's BP.
Very timely situation.